counted loud, he counted long, he waited for the shot. Felt the wind, he felt the cold, he felt that awful drop. The soup from his reserve spilled out and wrapped around his leg. And he ain't gonna jump no more.
We are gathered here in this, the first mass muster of our Corps, to celebrate 50 years of service to our nation and to our people.
Gonna jump no more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. And he ain't gonna jump no more.
Sir, could you tell me what airborne means to you?
Oh, hell. It takes nerve to jump out of an airplane.
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
The Chief of Infantry directed the infantry board at Fort Benning to constitute a parachute test platoon of 1 officer and 48 men. And the infantry board then turned to the 29th Infantry, which was the regiment at Benning, and called for volunteers, officers and men, to make up that platoon. There were about 30 to 40 officers, all first and second lieutenants, who volunteered, and well over a couple of hundred men.
I think perhaps I was the youngest member, maybe Louis was the second youngest.
The jump master for our entire platoon was a warrant officer from the Army Air Corps, a man by the name of Harry Tugg. That was his nickname, Tugg Wilson. He came from Chanute Field with 2 Air Corps riggers, and they were the ones that trained us how to pack the parachute and how to jump, so that we could then go out and train the rest of the battalion.
The training aids and that sort of thing that they use today, some of that stuff we developed. It was sort of like guessing by God, you know. If somebody broke something important, we said, don't do that, let's do it a little different next time.
So the test platoon actually had 2 officers, myself and another young second lieutenant by the name of Jim Bassett. We agreed that I would jump first, Bassett would jump last, and the men would draw numbers to see which order that they jumped, and we took out the number 13, of course, so that nobody would draw an unlucky number. And that's how we made our first jumps at Benning. As a platoon commander, I wanted to be in the door with every man in the platoon when he made his first jump. So when my stick went up, I went up with 10 of the platoon. We went over to the Lawton Field, I jumped, the plane came down and picked me up, and then we went up to jump the other 10 men so that I could be in the airplane with them when they made their first jump. I was the first one to jump as a, quote, parachutist in the U.S. Army.
Trace our origins to a platoon of courageous Americans who gathered together 5 decades ago at Fort Benning, Georgia, under the leadership of a young lieutenant by the name of Ryder.
Bum, 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 bum.
Activated long ago in the days of World War I. The 82nd shipped to France, and there they fought the Hun. Reactivated now for good, this time in World War II. The 82nd was the first to don the parachutes.
When we were needed, oh, we were there. On the
Went from England to North Africa. We were the first combat paratroopers used in World War II. And we jumped to 2 airfields in North Africa. My second mission in North Africa, I was captured by Rommel's 10th Panzers. I was interned in northern Italy. I escaped and walked about 400 miles and came back to the United States. Joined the 11th Airborne and went to the Philippines.
What does Airborne mean to you, sir?
What does it mean? I think it's one of the best outfits, has the finest young men, and we have reactivated the 509th, and we have some of the finest young men and officers that I've ever been acquainted with.
It means serving my country, sir. Best of my ability all the time.
It's just being the best. The only thing to be is Airborne.
It's being the best I can ever be.
Pride, integrity, unity, and strength.
The first order of business as we start the last official function, the 44th Annual Convention of the 82nd Airborne Division Association, I decree and give orders to the Executive Secretary that one additional candle be permanently placed on the memorial luncheon table, and I also direct that the roll call be amended and that added to the roll call be for the 82nd Airborne Division troopers killed in action in Panama, and that number to reflect 4.
Bum, 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 bum. On a cold December night it came, that fearless battle cry. When the green light lit over Panama, our brave men stood to fight. Noriega went too far this time, so we came down from the skies to restore the land for freedom and protect American lives.
When we are needed, oh, we'll be there. Yes, yes.
Down in Panama, our paratroopers have repeatedly said during post-battle interviews that they ignored the confusion and the darkness and moved to the sounds of the guns.
Airborne, we'll be there, we'll be there. Beautiful streamer, please open for me. Blue skies above me, and no canopy.
Well, the thing about Hawaii is that the local boys, you know, we play music down the beach, and we sing songs, and all the people come around us and just have a ball. And some of these tourists go out and buy some beer for us, so we just keep playing. And the local boys have a little logo that say, if they ain't got no suntan, they're fair game. So that's when I seen Clara with no suntan, I figured she was fair game. So we took a liking to each other. But I was a regular beach boy, you know, with my ukulele and all that beer and having a good time.
Yes, but it didn't take him long to get back to the United States, stateside, I should say. And that's where we was walking by a place where the marriage license was issued, and he took me by the hand and he got me into the place and says, well, let's sign this up. So we signed up the proper things and paid the $3. I think it was $3. And a few weeks had passed, or maybe it was months, and they sent us a letter and said, if you don't use these marriage license, they're going to expire. And we just didn't want to lose our $3. I think it was my $3. And we went to Monterey and was married in Monterey. And it's lasted many, many years.
This is a photograph of when Secretary of the Army John O. Marsh issued us a citation for the CCIB, and these are all the recipients that were present at that time. This here is one of the first cloth badges they made for the 3 CIBers. They didn't have any, not even in metal. There became 286, I believe, that received that award, and we are all posted in the Fort Benning Hall of Fame.
His sister that I was on vacation with told me she had her brother as a hero, But I didn't know any, I do naturally knew that they were paratroopers, but I didn't know paratrooper Okie. No, I did not. Did I have an awfully lot of things to learn.
Hey, get back, you son of a gun. How you doing? I had to come down and see you guys. I was over there with a 187,
Oh, yeah?
173rd.
Yeah.
And then I seen Wade, you know, my test platoon.
Yeah.
And he was my platoon. He was my first platoon sergeant. He was the nastiest sergeant. Of course, we were good sergeants. You know.
Right.
We had
Who
to
wasn't? Yeah, right.
What company was you with?
Company 187th Airborne Regimental Combat Team.
And you guys won the goddamn war.
We won the war. We did it all.
We did it all. E company. Let me shake you. I was in I company. You know, I company didn't do a darn thing.
No, you guys didn't do nothing.
Right, we was an R&R. That's in Montagny Jump right here. You can see right over these mountains over here on the other side is China. And the reason for the jump was that we had to put the pressure, take the pressure off the
rest of the outfits,
of the Marines and the 7th Division. M16, Vietnam.
Still have a sniper rifle?
Yeah. This is Springfield. This is a 30 caliber. And this is the first weapon that I trained with. 9 pounds. And this is the weapon that was issued to the paratroops after the submachine gun. I got 3 bullets in my leg from that damn thing right there. This is the AK-47 right here. Yeah. These are all our Medal of Honors. Wilson. That's Rudy when he was young there. Boy, he looked good there, doesn't he? And which one is Wilson? Yeah.
Wilson and
Wilson.
Hammond.
This is Baca right here, right? Yeah, that's Baca.
That's Hammond.
Cause this are 3, yeah. I remember when somebody donated, remember? The one, C-119 with the $1.19. Oh, it's broken. I made that painting. Or I penciled this here. It needs to be repaired, it's broken. This was a trooper from 2 wars that I put it together, you know, to make the Korean.
Derek, hey, Yoki.
I counted 10,000, waited too long, reached for my ripcord, the handle was gone. Is everybody happy? Cried the sergeant looking up. A hero meekly answered yes, and then they stood him up. He leaped right out into the blasted static line of hook, and he ain't gonna jump no more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Die, gory, gory.
It means to be a part of something that is different, to share with men who wear the same kind of wings, the common knowledge that we acquire because of the experiences we went through to earn the wing.
Airborne is a whole lifestyle. When you're a young man, my commander said to me, "What are you here for, Dom?" I said, "Here, sir, I'm here for excitement." He says, "Well, you're going to get it, buddy." And that's what Airborne means to me.
This is a unit that when it was created, as its commanding general said, had no history, but did have a rendezvous with destiny.
Assault, right
kept that rendezvous over this past half-century. Station, gallantry, and heroism. And its records will be forever and honorably inscribed in the annals of American military history, along with its distinguished insignia, the Screaming Eagle. I give you the 101st.
377, that is artillery. And we jumped in Normandy, and we jumped in Holland.
With the 101st in Vietnam from 66, 67. I went back to Vietnam in 68 with the 82nd. I'm here with the reunion, enjoying my friends, having a good time.
I served with the 50 Deuce Dog Company at the Elm River, and I'm a damn warrior.
We're at your service, the whole troop. We're a bunch of dirty old men.
I had a battalion of the 501 in Normandy and Holland, and then General Taylor picked me up to be the G3.
I read quite a bit of your history, and
I was G3 at Bastogne with Tony McCullough, and that's why I'm wearing this, because 5 years ago the Chief of Staff of the Army asked me to go represent him at Bastogne.
At Bastogne.
So I bought a new uniform, same size as the old.
What does Airborne mean to you?
For us, Belgium Airborne, they are the liberators, and especially where I live in the Bulge, near Saint-Vite, Trois-Ponts, and many other small towns where the Airborne, they lost a lot of people to stop the Germans, and especially the SS forces. They were killing a lot of people in Belgium, civilians. That's why we lost so much the American Airborne. Then they were the only one, they were coming very dirty, but they were very kind for the people.
Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die.
The triple nickel!
Hey,
How you guys doing?
Thank you.
How you doing? Boy, you guys looking great.
Well,
And
you know, it's 'cause we are great.
you know that I still got my jacket?
You
And,
kidding?
yeah, it's kind of worn out in the collar. And some guy offered me $400 or I wouldn't sell it. But, you know, it's a little tight now.
I wonder why. We're taking no time to get down to trim there.
Are you guys all the original triple nickel?
Not all of them. We remnants and add-ons and whatever.
Add-ons, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's 82nd there, and
So we got our colors. That's a color.
yeah, let's get that colors over here in 1 minute. Original triple nickel, right?
I'm just amazed.
Larry O'Kendall, how you doing?
Let it lay. That's it.
And I want you to know that you know, what do you guys do with leg shoes?
Well, some of them can't afford boots on the retirement.
Oh, okay.
Boots cost $80 now.
It was, I think, the 13th jump for most of your troops.
13th, 12th.
And it was on Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
And when
many apprehensions about this.
Yeah, and when I got out, I led one stick, and Johnny Greer, another jumper, led the other stick. When I got out and looked back, one of your guys was already landing. And we found out later that his main chute had failed, and he opened his reserve.
I think it should be said that at this ceremony today in D.C. are some authentic American heroes.
Yeah.
No question about it. And this may well be one of the great last hurrahs, a great gathering for all of us, because many of us are pushing 70 and 80 years of age.
Yeah, I'm just a kid. I'm only 66.
I'm over 70.
Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die.
What unit is this?
542.
Okay. You know, when I first came to Benning, I seen these patch.
Airborne Command.
Right, and all the recruits, you know, we were all recruits, and we draftees, you know, when a PFC talking, your knees start buckling in. But when we sneak to town, we'd put that patch on, you know. And then when you get on the curb, you walk up 1,000, 2,000. You remember that?
I remember the night you spilled mustard all over yourself in Atlanta.
That's right.
It was about 2 o'clock in the morning.
In fact, I know you. Yeah, hell yeah. We've been together a long time. And I see, turn around this way.
He discharged from the Army.
The ruptured duck.
Yeah.
My God, I never seen. And you got a good conduct medal?
Yeah, supply sergeant.
Jesus.
He was supply sergeant.
Oh, no wonder.
He issued his own.
Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. And he ain't gonna jump no more.
So we carried overcoats when they needed them. We carried their boots and all right up as close as we could find a landing spot by the front lines. We served in Africa and dropped the 504th, the 505th at Gala Bay, Salerno, and then at Salerno in Italy. Then we were moved up to England to participate on D-Day, and we took the 508th of the 82nd in on D-Day. DZN, let's see, 2:08 in the morning we dropped those troops on the drop zone, of course. And then we had the privilege of working with the British and the Polish regiment at Arnhem, Holland, to the bridge too far. And then we finished up the war after 2 years by dropping towing the 17th Airborne in to Wessel.
What'd you guys do during the big war? We jumped to Wessel. And then we went over the running into Germany. Let's get to 101st now. We went to Munster. Munster, Germany. Rhine Valley. 101st will still be dug in over there for one for us. We won the war. 17th Airborne. Airborne all the way. What's the Airborne mean to me? I think it's not the parachute troops, it's the men that make up the parachute troops. That's what's a great thing. I wouldn't be without these guys. They're all a great bunch, every single one. We're having our 43rd Parachute Company reunion, Company A, 513. Clearwater, Florida. For 43 years of it, we've gotten together.
Yeah, I've told my family this story many times. He's told his family. That is the first time we came together. Were you taking pictures of the parade yesterday?
Yes.
I was the lieutenant that was leading it, and he said, I know that guy. He said, when he was a first sergeant, that's how I know him. I've saved his life.
Cut him down out of a tree.
What's Airborne mean to you? Yeah, all the way, man.
I was forward observer for the artillery.
What does Airborne mean to you, sir?
Airborne is life. Without it, there'd be no life.
All I remember is with the colonel. When I was with the colonel, he got killed.
Rocking the ball, right in the middle of the snow. The outfit had been beat half to death. My feet were half frozen.
We were just getting ready to push off on the attack on Knocknaball, and we were attached to A Company. I was in the light machine gun platoon. We were attached to A Company, and A Company had the basic mission of making a frontal attack on this little town.
In front of me was at least 3 machine gunners. I could hear 3 machine gunners, and they all got shot inside of 5 minutes.
I was one of the ones that got wounded. That was the same time that Colonel York was killed.
I can remember the colonel, Joe, go back and get that missile, the missile tank, whatever it was, with a big gun. So as I left, a hell of a blast went in the tree. That's when he got it. And the guy, the radio man's name was Paul Perrin. I'll never forget him. Tall, good-looking, dark-faced guy. But I didn't know until the other day there was 2 radio men. So as I went around, that gun went off, and I was in back of it. So maybe it was part of my mind, too. I don't know. I went around, and I ended up with the 517. We went in, and we were at a flank, going for the house. The Germans were shooting us from the top. No wonder they weren't hitting me. They were hitting the machine gunners. I thought I would get killed.
I saw our boys marching our prisoners back. I saw a couple of hundred that I know of. I saw a whole bunch of them one day that marched in with their hands on their heads.
I left on there the 6th and I come back on the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back on the 7, I found there wasn't no A company. Only about 6 men left.
I remember it was mighty cold. And we'd taken one hell of a beating, and I was one of the last of the 6 men that was up in Rochdale at the very end of it. I was bazooka man, and then when things got too rough, and there were no tanks anyway, so I picked up a rifle, and I was a rifleman. And as you recall, we had a bayonet attack on the way up to it. They were lined up in a whole line of machine gunners, and we were pinned down and couldn't move. And Lieutenant Durkee called for fixed bayonets and had us attack the Germans. I believe that day we killed 60 or 70 Germans and bayonets in our gun butts. The reason you have a bayonet attack is because some of your own men are behind the machine gunners, so you can't actually shoot at them. You might hit your own men, and you kind of get scared when a man calls for a bayonet attack, and you fix bayonets, because that's one of the worst fighting you can have. I believe there's 700 and some SS troops in Rochdale.
That's right.
And they retreated to the back, and we took 100 and some odd prisoners that day. Well, there's only 6 of us left out of 290. There were 6 of us standing up there in Rochdale when we took the prisoners.
Glory, glory, what the hell of a way to die.
I think it should be said that at this ceremony today in D.C. are some authentic American heroes.
Gonna jump no more.
He counted loud, he counted long, he waited for the shot. Felt the wind, he felt the cold, he felt that awful drop. The soup from his reserve spilled out and wrapped around his leg.
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
The risers wrapped around his neck, connectors cracked his dome. Suspension lines were tied in knots around his skinny bones. His canopy became a shroud as he hurtled to the ground.
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
I remember him. I started with the 503rd, and I ended with the 503rd. So, 3 wars.
Great.
And I'm still walking, sir.
He's the only one that I know that has a double thing all at company level. Right.
You know, when I
miracle you're here.
seen you, I was a young soldier, and
So was I.
we all were. And I looked.
I was young once, but that's one of those things I can't remember very well either.
How did you get that many good conduct? Because a good soldier never gets a death.
I don't know. All of a sudden, I looked at my records one day, and they were giving me good conduct medals. I said, I don't know how.
He got 2 good. He got the green weenie, and I'm part Seminole. I'm half Seminole.
Oh, great.
And you're the whitest Indian I've ever seen.
Congratulations.
What's your name?
Paul Hannon.
And where you from?
Right here in Washington, D.C.
And what
Born and raised in Washington, D.C.
Is that right? And what are you guys doing here?
Washington Redskins marching band.
You're gonna.
We'll be in the parade. One of the men in our parade, who's director of personnel, Harry Hinken, was a Marine paratrooper in World War II.
Oh, fantastic!
And so he told us, you know, you better show up.
What does Airborne mean to you?
Suffering. That's not the way to say it. Happiness. Lots of tears of joy. Sacrifice. Did I say that one before?
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
I'm one of the original members of the 511th. We started at Toccoa, Georgia. From there we went to Camp McCall, and then we went to Fort Benning for our initial parachute training. After we were trained, we went to Camp Polk, Louisiana. From Camp Polk, we went to, shut it off.
It's okay.
We went to Camp Stoneman, California, where we boarded the SS Sea Pike, and first destination was New Guinea. We did some basic training in jungle warfare, and our first combat invasion was the island of Leyte. Quote, end quote.
I did my thing in World War II with Dog Battery 457, 11th Airborne. And our claim to fame is rescuing the civilian prisoners out of the Philippine Islands in February 23rd, 1945, and we still have a lot of them here today. And
the most appreciative bunch you've ever seen. We've got 2 of them over here, and that's about the whole thing. But we're glad to get back with Hammerly after he was one of the first guys got hit, and we didn't see him no more for all these years. And we're really enjoying the visit with him.
We made the jump on Corregidor, the 503rd Parachute Combat Team.
What was it like?
It was pretty rough. It was probably the roughest single jump during World War II. The conditions under which the jump was made.
I was the commander, his commanding officer, Battery D, 462 of the 1/8 of the 502. And we participated in the drop on Corregidor. Half of my unit, he jumped in the initial assault at 8 o'clock. And believe me, that field was not the kind that they teach you to jump in. School teachers, anytime there's a rock planted in your fist, they should be cleared out before you jump. You jump into buildings that have been bombed inside out completely, and many of the men landed on those buildings. I myself landed in concrete from a shattered old building, and it was very interesting. But the jump itself, well, I'm amazed that we're here because those weren't killed or injured in the combat. Should have been killed on the jump. So we're very, very fortunate. But I'm very proud of it. I remember that outfit.
What does Airborne mean to you, sir?
Well, it means to me, in my case, I can't explain it. I've had a lifetime of it. The Airborne all the way. The Korean War with the 187, and then I was in the Special Forces unit. So I'm retired Airborne all the way.
The ambulance was on the spot, the jeeps were running wild. The medics jumped and screamed with glee, rolled up their sleeves and smiled. For it had been a week or so since last the chute had failed, and he ain't gonna jump no more.
What does Airborne mean to me? I've had an awfully lot of happiness with it, and I've had an awfully lot of sorrow. They say this traumatic stress syndrome, it has to apply to the families, because you go to the mailbox and you try to find a letter there, and the letter isn't there, and then maybe there'll be 10 letters there. There's an awfully lot of times in between.
Why are you marching here today?
We were invited by the USA Airborne Committee.
What's your name, sir?
Paul DeVries.
And where you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
From New Jersey. And Pathfinder, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was an advisor in Vietnam with the Vietnamese Airborne Division.
Oh, okay. And that's why you're marching
yes,
with them?
We're marching. We have our advisors and former members of the division marching here.
Well, tell me something. I was with the 173rd, and I never had an opportunity to fight with these people, you know, with the Vietnamese Army. How did they compare with our troops? Were they good soldiers?
Some of their battalions were better than ours.
Is that right? They were.
Yeah.
I heard that their airborne unit were fantastic.
Tough guys.
Really
tough guys.
Are these were airborne units?
Yeah, this is the Airborne Division.
Oh, okay.
These guys all are a former Airborne Division.
How many combat jumps have you made? You made any? 2 combat jumps in Vietnam? Good deal.
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
On behalf of the Australian Army Training Team Vietnam, it's my pleasure to be able to present to the Special Forces people a couple of plaques. I hope that you'll see these around often, and you'll see the boys around as well.
Bobby's not going to get out likely. Those of you who haven't seen Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2, I will translate for you, but anyway, on behalf of Convention 90 and the Special Forces Association, we'd like to give you one of our numbered sets of coins, which you other cheap guys can buy for $35. Thank you.
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
Camaraderie is something out of this world. really tight organization. Not just the Rangers, but Airborne. If you're Airborne, you're a brother.
I have met some of the finest people in the Airborne, irregardless of what company they belong to, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of it.
Airborne was the key of my life. I run into everybody that I know that's ever airborne as the greatest person that I've ever known. And there is a test along the way that jumping from airplanes seems to bring out the very best or eliminates those that aren't. I don't know what it is, but it's a camaraderie you can never replace.
He hit the ground, the sound was splat, the blood went spurting high. His comrades were heard to say, "What a hell of a way to die!" He lay there rolling around in all the welter of his gore, and he ain't gonna jump no more. There was blood upon the risers, there was brains upon his chute.
I almost feel like the mother of all these 173rd Airborne troopers. They're generally now in their 40s. My son was also in Vietnam, and my husband was in Vietnam. So both of them were frontline troops, and my son was shot up there. And he is suffering yet today from it.
Intestines were a-dangling from his paratrooper suit.
Which one of you guys buying the beer?
You are.
We're going to do the
beer on you.
Yeah. On you.
Beer on you.
him.
Beer on you.
On you.
On him.
They're supposed to be buying the beer. Here's the guy going to buy the beer. How you doing? Come on.
You on war horse? Let's go.
I tell you, being in the 170, and I've served, you know, in the 17th Airborne Division, the 82nd Airborne Division, the 1st Airborne Division, the 173rd Airborne Brigade, 517th Parachute Regiment. Of my 37 and a half years in the Army, before I retired, I spent 26 years on jump status. And by golly, someone said out there in the hall a moment ago, said, "Why did you come to the 173rd? Why didn't you put the 82nd or the 101st or 17th, so forth?" I said, "Look, my heart is with the 173rd.
This painting here depicts the battles of Dak To, Hill 823 with myself and Sergeant Major Ted Arthurs. I was first on the Bravo Company's 4th Battalion at that time.
They poured him from his helmet and they poured him from his boots, and he ain't gonna jump no more.
The battles of Dak To was the longest single battle in Vietnam and the most costliest in human lives. And these veterans that are sitting around me are survivors of that particular battle. Most of them were wounded, and some pretty badly, as you can see.
Well, on the morning of November 19th, 1967, the 2nd Battalion was the first battalion to go up Hill 875. Well, as we made the ascent up the hill, my company was in the rear, and the two lead companies first made contact with the heavily fortified, dug-in NVA and bunkers. And we immediately took casualties up front, and Captain Kiley and parts of our company went back down the hill for the purposes of securing a landing zone to bring in helicopters to get the wounded out and resupply it. At that point in time, that element that went back to cut the landing zone was totally overrun, and everybody down there was killed, probably 20 or 30 men. Meanwhile, contact continued up front and behind us, and we were just completely surrounded. And then during the night, our own Air Force dropped a large, reputed to be a 500-pound bomb right into the center of our perimeter, killed about 70 more people and wounded several hundreds. From that point forward, most of the people in my battalion have little recollection of what actually happened, because everybody was either dead or wounded. So we just hung on with no food and water for 3 days, until your battalion got to us on the end of the second day.
Most of the terrain was heavy jungle area, and moving through that kind of terrain, 10 clicks in a day was a real chore. And we finally made contact at the base of the hill, and it was just beginning to get dark out. My personal feeling was I knew that these guys had been through hell for the last 2 days. By what you could see, and even more so than that, what you could smell, there had been a lot of heavy contact.
We wanted to engage. We wanted to engage the NVA. We wanted to get to the second bat as soon as possible. In the line of march, you could hear the second bat occasionally start up their gas-powered chainsaws. Every time they started them up, they'd be mortared. During the march, we dropped rucksacks and almost went at a ran until we got to the base of the hill. I went up what I thought was the center of the line of march. I went up some steps that the NVA had dug into the hill. It was as if they'd been there for years. Communications wire all over the place. And when I got to the top of the steps, my strongest memory, there was approximately a whole platoon of Americans dead on the trail. One man had made it off the trail. He had an M79. He was about 10 feet from the trail behind a log. Every man had been shot behind the ear.
Through the confusion and all the KIAs, new leaders emerged from the men themselves. I want to remind you that these were paratroopers. They were young, they were eager. Although they were suffering heavy casualties, leaders came in from within the rank and took over and formed the perimeter and successfully defended that perimeter and the rest of the wounded that they had within the perimeter until the 4th Battalion made a successful penetration in their position and expanded the perimeter. As a combat veteran of 3 wars, I have never seen, any time in my life, young paratroopers so courageously get up that hill and charge that hill, and with the last attack, everybody got up that hill yelling Airborne, Geronimo, and you name it. And I got to the top of the hill with Major Scott, and I said, we're on top of the hill. And he said, on top of the hill? Hell, we took the damn hill. That was on Thanksgiving Day, and the 173rd received from the President of the United States the Presidential Unit Citation for one of the most courageous actions that took part in Vietnam. There were 686 paratroopers that lost their lives during the battles of Dak To. There were over 5,000 North Vietnamese that were killed in action. And as an old soldier, I am so honored, and deeply honored and proud to be here with these men today. And every time I feel that deep pride within me. Tom over there, wounded, both arms, both legs, still holding his own. These guys here wounded more than once or twice. When we moved out, they moved out to attack. They didn't stand back and cry. And by God, those were sky soldiers, and don't you ever call them nothing else.
What does Airborne mean to you? They knock on your door and tell you there is a telegram released as soon as they tell you your husband or your son is wounded. That's what it means to me.
Airborne means to me a caliber of men that there no place that I've ever met in my 60-some years that have so much love for one another, esprit, and camaraderie. They would do anything regardless for each other.
I heard about your talk last night, the lying and stealing and all that. Is this true, Butch? I heard it was
no. I told him there was one other major sin, but I've been so good recently I can't remember.
So let's show how broad we are and drink a toast to sin. Let's drink a toast to major sin. Lying, cheating, stealing, killing. fly to help a friend. If you must steal, steal the heart of a lovely maiden. If you must cheat, cheat death. If you must kill, just kill time. And if you must drink, drink with me.
Only a warrior knows the beauty of her colors, and he would gladly give his life to hold her proud. For many times in battles long forgotten by some others, she was taken from a dying hand that wouldn't let her touch the ground. Old Glory will forever protect your colors. We're your children and will always hold you high. Yes, oh Glory, you're our mother and we love you. And there are those of us that would gladly die. Yes, there are those of us that would gladly die. Some may even stand on you and burn you. Then they'll say that it was all in freedom's name. But even though they shame you and disgrace you in front of others, brothers, can you hear her cry out name? Oh, Glory will forever protect your colors. We're your children and will always hold you high. Yes, oh Glory, you're our mother and we love you. And there are those of us that would gladly die. Yes, there are those of us that would gladly die. For oh Glory will forever protect your colors. We're your children and will always hold you high. Yes, oh Glory, you're our mother and we love you. And there are those of us that would gladly die. Yes, there are those of us that would gladly die.
What we have accomplished these past 3 days and what we shall do here today as the capstone of our 50th anniversary will be the standard against which others will be measured when they attempt to emulate that which we have done. That is how it should be. That is how it has always been. Airborne leads the way.
Color Sergeant, present the colors.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow members of the Airborne Brotherhood. As I look at these colors, I cannot imagine any greater honor or privilege than to speak here today to this assembled family of the Airborne as we celebrate and commemorate the first half century of dedication, sacrifice, and service to our nation. And I want to thank each one of you for being here and for the commitment that you have made to the preservation of our freedom. The symbols of the proud heritage of the American Airborne stands on the field before you. The colors of the many and varied units that are our heritage, adorned with battle streamers earned at so great a cost on distant battlefields. Ours is a community comprised of all services and units of every conceivable type. parachute, glider, air assault, air mobile, and airborne troop carrier, and all of us share a common birth. We all trace our origins to a platoon of courageous Americans who gathered together 5 decades ago at Fort Benning, Georgia, under the leadership of a young lieutenant by the name of Ryder. The American Airborne, in all of its forms, still stands as the vanguard of our nation's armed forces. Today, as I speak, they remain ready 365 days a year to deploy anywhere in the world on short notice to enter combat immediately upon arrival and to win. This is not an easy task, and it requires men and women of singular quality and selfless devotion to duty to maintain that state of readiness. That readiness was most recently demonstrated during Operation Just Cause in Panama. And shortly after we returned from that operation, we dedicated a living memorial of dogwood trees at Fort Bragg for those who had been killed or wounded. They fought and sacrificed for the simple cause of freedom. Not just freedom for a particular people at a given moment in history, but freedom for all of mankind throughout all of the ages to come. This was the cause to which they swore their allegiance. This is the cause for which they stood and held fast when it mattered the most. These brave men, our comrades, our friends, may have fallen, but they never faltered in the performance of their duty. They kept the faith in the cause for which they fought. They were true to their oath. They were the best of the best.
What are you policing up?
Not much.
Nothing much?
I'll probably be policing the whole area after it's done.
Oh, okay. You picking up all these old guys that'll fall out?
If it wasn't for all these old guys, we wouldn't be here right now.
Is this an original one?
Yes, sir.
It looked like, yeah, it is, by God, it is.
Wait till the original,
Absolutely.
it's got buttons on the flap.
And for crying out loud, you want to change shoes?
Yeah.
How about you, sir? What unit did you serve with in World War II?
I was in the leg business. I was in the 34th Infantry in the 24th Division.
That's all right, you authorized, sir. There's no problem with that.
But I got the message, and I joined the paratroops in 46, and then I was in the 2nd Battalion of the 05, and then the 187 in Korea.
Was you an officer? You was a non-commissioned officer?
In fact, I was set to go to OCS when we got orders to go to Vietnam, and I
And he ain't gonna jump no more. Is everybody happy? Cried the sergeant looking up. Our hero meekly answered yes, and then they stood him up. He leaped right out into the blasted static line of look, and he ain't gonna jump no more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. My gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. And he ain't gonna jump no more.
He counted
Well, Airborne is a special bunch of guys, special bunch of people. They volunteer for hazardous duty and they expect hazardous duty, and history has indicated you can always depend upon those paratroopers to get the job done. Airborne, it means all the way, all together, all the way. All the way. Airborne all the way. It was my life. It means everything under the sun.
Gonna jump no more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. And he ain't gonna jump no more. There was blood upon the risers. There was brain.
What does Airborne mean to you?
Means of transportation?
You know what they told me? You're a nasty old goat.
Who said that?
A lot of people. They said, oh, that guy's a nasty old. And I said, no, it's just that I'm mellow. He'd ride your mellow around.
The ambulance was on the spot, the jeeps were running wild. The medics jumped and screamed with glee, rolled up their sleeves and smiled. For it had been a week or so since last a shoot had failed.
And he ain't gonna jump no more.
Airborne means victory. All the way. Airborne all the way. What's the Airborne mean to you?
Just like eating 3 meals a day. That's Airborne.
It means a congregation of very proud men who fought in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and they're all like brothers, and each and every one would probably give their life for the other.
But I am so thankful they're both returned. They're both have jobs that they're proud of. Airborne means to me everything. Everything.
And he ain't gonna jump.